She wants me to test it because she thinks I don't project. I know. I'm trying. Mine's short and sweet. Okay, I can project. Oh my. What? Yeah, I know. She's always teaching me something. That I don't know. That doesn't, no, when you do.
I'm going straight down in alphabetical order from District 1 to 3. It's on the top, on the side. It's on my phone.
Am I stalling? Is that what you're? His name is Stuart. His name is Stuart. I guess I need to lean in.
Stuart, is it new? Go.
Are you ready? All right. Good afternoon. My name is Christy Cardillo, and a warm Kiwanis welcome from Bradenton, Kiwanis. We are pleased to share our program of the candidate forums for Manatee County Commissioner races in District 1 and 3. We are broadcasting via live stream to make it available to anyone to view. We want to thank all of our candidates for taking the time today to participate. We want to especially thank Kiwanians Alex Garner and Janene Amick for their hard work on making this event possible. A special thank you to Manatee Performing Arts Center and Shin Visual Productions for all of the hard work in making the magic of an online forum happen. We appreciate all of you. We would like to extend a special welcome to our guests tuning in online. It's great to have you. If any guests are interested in joining Bradenton Kiwanis, please reach out to any officer via our website. We have a great group here. We'd love for you to join the Kiwanis family. We are a driving force that makes a lasting difference for families and our community. Now, please welcome Janene Amick, a fellow Kiwanian, who will be moderating the forum for you.
Thank you, President-elect Christy Cardillo. Okay, so today's forum is about getting to know our candidates, their thoughts, perspective, vision, their hopes for the future of our community. It is about their personal responses to questions, not their reaction to their opponent's opinions. I'd like to thank each and every one of you who are tuning in, as Christy said. This is a little different, and we hope that you enjoy the format. I truly believe that each one of our candidates would agree that polarizing constituents does not build unity in a community. Therefore, the format today is as follows. Not everyone thinks quick or fast on their feet. Therefore, our candidates are seated comfortably and have had the opportunity to write down some answers to 4 out of 7 questions they were given just earlier today. They've been asked to keep in mind that we are interested in specific responses, not soapbox rhetoric. We're interested in hearing about the things they can actually influence as county commissioner, not topics such as changing the federal tax law. Did you know that the tallest building in Manatee County is the Bradenton Financial Building? It has 12 floors. The average elevator ride from top to bottom, is 2 minutes. So today, we're giving our candidates an opportunity to truly share their elevator speech. We want our candidates to imagine they're in that elevator with the constituent who has just asked them one of the following questions. And they have the time that it takes to answer it and respond. In the interest of time, and to be fair to all candidates, we will adhere to the 2 minutes. I will read the question, their answer that they initially gave this morning, and then give them 2 minutes to elaborate. At the beginning of this forum, though, let's get each one of them to introduce themselves. We're going to start in alphabetical order from District 1 to District 3. So I'll turn it now to Dominique Brown, candidate for District 1. Dominique?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I am Dominique Brown, candidate for District 1 County Commissioner. I was raised here in Manatee County, and I recently moved back to raise my family here in Manatee County. I'm the owner of 2 small businesses. My educational background includes a bachelor's and a master's degree from Florida A&M, as well as a Juris Doctor degree in law from North Carolina Central University. My background, as far as my employment, is mostly public service work. I joined the Air Force at the age of 17. I served for 12 years, and I did serve a tour in Afghanistan. I'm a former prosecutor and a former public defender, and my family comes from a long background of military families, law enforcement officers, and medical workers. I'm running for county commissioner because I am focused on the future of Manatee County, and specifically District 1, but I ask that you all support me in my candidacy as your next commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Mr. James Satcher, candidate District 1.
Thank you so much, and just glad to be here. I want to thank the Kiwanis for all the work they did putting this on, and to everyone listening at home. My name is James Satcher, and for 20 years I've worked as a minister, either a pastor in a church in the middle of nowhere, Haiti, sharing the gospel, crusade stages, and feeding the hungry, and really trying to make a difference. Here in Manatee County, we've been fighting sex trafficking now for the past 3 years, and have seen women come completely out of that life and start over. And I have my wife, Monica, and 5 children, beautiful children. Hope you get a chance to meet them. I do believe that we as a community and as a people, that it's very important that our elected leaders, that they mirror and have some of the same values, and those values that I bring to the table. Obviously, I love the Lord, and that's not saying that anybody else up here doesn't. But then also, I do have a conservative mindset that I bring to the table. I do believe in limited government, I believe in low taxes, and I believe in a strong defense, and for on the county level, that'd be a strong sheriff's office and safety. Thank you so much. I ask you to vote James Satcher.
Thank you, candidate Satcher. Ms. Priscilla Trace, District 1 candidate.
Good afternoon. I'm Priscilla Wisnat Trace, and I have always lived in District 1. I've always lived north of the river. Graduated from Palmetto High School, as did my parents. But knowing the area as well as I do, I think gives me an advantage very much on transportation issues, knowing people. But that doesn't matter. What matters is what the future brings. We know we have some problems there, and I am willing to work on them. I know them, and I have set my goals is to make District 1 the best district in Manatee County. I work well with others, I listen, and I'm hoping you maintain me as your District 1 Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trace. Matt Bauer, District 3 candidate.
Thank you. Again, my name is Matt Bauer, and I'm running to be the next District 3 County Commissioner. Like many on this panel, I'm born and raised right here in Bradenton, graduating from Bayshore High School. After high school, I served 7 years active duty United States Army. I had a pretty unique career serving 5 different duty stations in that 7 years. Each one of those 5, I was hand-selected to take in particular missions, is why I was selected to go to those units. After my military career, I earned my bachelor's degree from St. Leo University, and I've been building and running businesses ever since, including my current business as a financial advisor with Edward Jones. Over the last several years, I've been very active in this community, helping in various ways, including advocating for our natural resources, combating drunk driving, helping veterans with PTSD, and earned my place on the Planning Commission's years back. On the Planning Commission, I earned the reputation of asking tough questions and being the voice of the people, which is primarily the reason why I'm running for County Commissioner, is to be the voice of the people. So at the end of the day, I have several different priorities: traffic, infrastructure, our natural resources, and helping our first responders. So as your next County Commissioner, in District 3, that will be my focus, and that's what you can count on from me. So I appreciate your vote in November. Vote for Matt Bauer, County Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bauer. Mr. Kevin Van Ostenbridge, District 3 candidate.
Hi, thank you. My name is Kevin Van Ostenbridge, and I am the Republican nominee for District 3. I am a native of District 3. I was born and raised in District 3. I'm actually a third-generation graduate of Manatee High School, and I do business in District 3. My family lives in District 3, and so I'm heavily invested in District 3, personally and professionally, and that's a main reason that I'm running for County Commission. I'm concerned about the future of District 3. I serve on the Bradenton Planning Commission. I'm actually a member of the Bradenton Kiwanis Club as well. And when I first started my campaign, I'm a Republican. I'm a limited government, low-tax Republican. And when I first started the campaign, the issues that I was focused on, this is back in January, were water quality, infrastructure, and revitalizing West Bradenton. And those three are still important issues. However, since the campaign started, we're now in a pandemic, and coronavirus has set in. We've experienced a government shutdown of businesses. We've experienced a government-imposed curfew, and as a result, we are now sitting in Manatee County with double-digit unemployment. And so my focus, while those three issues are still on my plate, now the economy and getting people back to work is now the top focus of my campaign. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, candidates, for keeping to our 2 minutes. We appreciate that. Okay, of the 5 candidates today, 3 have chosen to answer question 1. We'll start with Kevin. I hope you don't mind if I use your first name so we can keep this personal. What sources of information would you consult prior to voting on an issue, and how would you resolve conflicting viewpoints in the information received? Kevin's initial response was, I like to go into decision-making with an open mind and an open heart. I will consult with staff and members of the public, all concerned parties as well. Kevin, would you elaborate, please?
Sure. So I think it's important to go into every decision that you make with an open mind and an open heart. You absolutely want to hear all sides of the issue, whether it's from the 2 competing parties. They're both going to have their own self-interest at mind, so you want to take that into consideration. I would, of course, consult with staff, and members of the public, I'm sure, will engage us through email and phone calls, and I want to hear their opinions as well. As you go into each issue, you're going to have a core set of principles that are going to steer you. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a conservative Republican. I believe in small government, and I think government, for the most part, should stay out of the way on issues. So those values are going to guide me in my decision-making. But the bottom line is I'm going to vote with my conscience, and I'm going to vote for the best interests of my district and the county.
Thank you. We'll move on to Matt. Matt, the same question you answered. Doing my homework is key to any issue. Troubleshooting accurate and factual information can be difficult as well, depending upon the issue. I will use every available resource while asking all questions required to come to a logical conclusion. Can you expand on that?
Thank you very much. My decision-making, especially on the Planning Commission, a lot of people saw, it was from a logical sense. I approached things from a common sense way of deciphering information. So in many ways, I don't think anybody here is going to say they're not going to do their homework. But at the same time, I think it's about asking tough questions when there are conflicts. Prime example was when voting on the Aqua by the Bay project on the Planning Commission. Our county environmentalist was saying that a particular moat met the comprehensive plan requirements when it did not, in my opinion. It took a half dozen different questions after getting a no, 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 yes it did, to finally that person to admit and find that it did not meet the comprehensive plan. He just thought it looked better. But had I not asked those questions until I got a definitive answer, it would have gone unchecked. And those are the kind of things I think we need to have on that board, is not to allow gray answers, but get to an actual answer to come to a factual conclusion of what we're voting on. And that's the prime example I can give you.
Thank you. And Dominique, yours was community, constituents, county employees, local business owners. Would you elaborate, please?
Yes, thank you. Since I started my campaign, I've realized that a lot of people have a lot to say within our district. They don't feel like their voices are heard, or that there are only certain voices that are actually heard when decisions are made. If I'm elected to this position and faced with an issue such as this, I would ensure that I speak to the people in the community, make sure that they understand that they have a voice and that they can speak to their leadership and let them know their concerns. I would also work with the employees for the county and having them explain to the board or to me what it is that we need to do, how it needs to get done, and a feasible way for it to be completed. Business owners also have some say-so when it comes to our district, and they need to be heard as well. And then finally, I would look at the statutes. As a lawyer, we really do depend on lawmakers and what they say and what the statutes say that we're required to do. So I would put all those things together and talk to the people, talk to the other board members, and try to figure out a way that we can all work together to accomplish the mission at hand. It's all about working together for the community, and that is how I would make that happen.
Thank you. So something drives each one of us, both here on stage and you in the audience, that gets us up every morning. The following question was asked and 4 candidates answered. What value or principle motivates you daily? We'll start with James Satcher. His answer was faith, conservative, Republican. Can you expand on that, please?
Sure. We all come, through life, through experiences, and through decisions that we make to have a core set of beliefs. And there are a lot of specifics to the job of county commissioner. We need to decide what to do with specific road projects, what we need to do with the Centennial Park project in Parrish and Terracea Bay and things like that. But it is good to know that your elected officials share some of the same values as you. So I'll just skip to it and say I'm 100% behind Governor Ron DeSantis. I'm 100% behind President Donald Trump. And to say, well, that's a national matter, it doesn't matter on the local, that's just not true. We've seen demonstrations, we've seen statues go down in our local community, we've seen overreach from local government, curfews, closed beaches, all those things that come back to how do you look at life and how do you look at the role of government. And so I come at that, first of all, as a Christian, second of all, I'm conservative, and third, as a Republican.
Okay. Miss Priscilla, your answer was, what would my parents think? My faith, my family, my friends, and my citizens. Please.
Who you are is what makes you out in the community. My values are very important to me. My honesty, my trust in the people that I work with, my treating people correctly. I was raised in a very, very strong family, and I always say, would my mom and dad approve of what I'm doing? And if the answer is no, then I always have to kind of back up a little bit and say, this is not right. They gave me the sound foundation that I have, and that makes me confident, and I deal with everyone the same. Everyone can tell you that when I make a decision, I stand by it. And I will tell you, if you disagree with me, I will tell you why. I'm honest. Lots of folks have my cell phone number. Lots of people are calling me all the time. I listen, I communicate, and I have a very, very strong faith. The one thing I have done since I've been a commissioner for the last 4 years is I make sure that I reread Proverbs every quarter. All it talks about is wisdom, getting along with others. That's the most important thing a commissioner can do, is work with others and communicate. These are values that I very, very strongly think and I use. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. I'll repeat the question again. What value or principle motivates you daily? Dominique, you answered, you still live by the United States Air Force values. Will you expand on those, please?
Absolutely. When I went to boot camp, we had to learn our Air Force values, which I believe applies to my life and a lot of people should apply it to their lives as well. The Air Force values are integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. I believe that we should be trusted to do the right thing even when no one's looking. And I believe that that value of integrity should apply to government as well. In Florida, we live under the Sunshine Law, where government is supposed to happen in the sunshine. So when elected to this position, I promise to be transparent. I promise to keep communication open and talk to the people to figure out what it is that they want. I told you before that most of my career has been in public service, so service before self is something that I still live by. I would like to continue my service to the people of Manatee County, specifically in District 1, with being elected to this role. And then excellence in all that we do. I tell my kids every time that they try to attempt something that they should give their best effort at that. That is what I try to do every day in my life. If I attempt to do something, I don't want to do it halfway. I want to make sure that it's done 100% and done to the best of my ability. So those are the values that I live by. Those are the values that I would like to bring to the Board of County Commissioners. And again, it's integrity, service, and excellence.
Thank you. Matt, your answer was, integrity is my #1 value and principle. Without integrity, we have nothing. Along with doing the job right the first time, this is the biggest value your father instilled in you. If we do what is right, without exception, we cannot go wrong. Would you expand on that, please?
I'd love to, thank you. I firmly believe that integrity has everything to do with who we are and what we're about. I think that everything starts with integrity, can be built off integrity. If we don't have that, we're going to be down the wrong path. My father instilled this into me early. You know, I was sitting here thinking about my answer. I remember my drill sergeant who actually was washing this today. I freaked out and lied about an answer because I didn't shave that day when he's in my face, and I remember getting smoked for that, and I'm thinking, why you just say you forgot to shave? And it was just kind of a funny moment that brought me back here today. But at the end of the day, when we're sitting up there, it's not about our actions when things are easy. I tell my son this all the time. It's about how you react when things are difficult. And when things are difficult, we have to step up, be leaders, make command decisions, and above all else, the public and our constituents have to trust us. And I think that is lacking in the greatest way. So when I'm on this board, politics are out the door. I don't care about Republican, Democrat, Independent. Only thing I care about is doing what is right for this community, especially when things are hard. And it all starts with integrity.
Thank you. We'll go to question 3. What is the one feasible project or program you hope to have a direct influence on implementing as a county commissioner if elected? We'll start with Kevin. Kevin's answer to the question was, improving our infrastructure without raising taxes, wastewater and sewer lines, road and intersection improvements, new bridges. Would you expand on that, please?
Absolutely, thank you. And that was a great question. I'm glad it was in there. We recently had a 26 million gallon raw sewage spill into Sarasota Bay right off of District 3 shoreline. And so we have 26 million gallons of raw sewage coming out of a line that is 50 years old. Now that line is not controlled by Manatee County, it's actually controlled by the town of Longboat Key, and I assume they will be penalized pretty heavily for it, especially after the governor signed the new Clean Water Act. But that is a prime example of my #1 concern as far as an infrastructure project goes. District 3 it's an older part of the county, and as a result, we have an awful lot of aged infrastructure in our county that needs to be replaced. We also have a lot of old roads in our part of the town that need to be replaced. We have old bridges in our part of the county. So I think road safety and environmental quality come into play when it comes to infrastructure, and that it may not be a sexy answer that you wanted to hear, right? But that's the bottom line. When we get up, we've done a lot of things in the county that we wanted to do, that we liked, but we've neglected some things that we needed to do. And I think that sewer lines and stormwater runoff and bridges and roads are a classic example of things that we need that unfortunately we've been neglecting.
Thank you. The next candidate to answer was Priscilla. Priscilla, your answer was the Northwest Plan, creation of jobs around the port. Would you expand on that, please?
Yes, when I first started 4 years ago, I look at this vast potential that we have around the port. Yes, they're owned by private parties, but we have, with the port there, we have a railroad line there. This is a great creation for jobs, and we've been working on that for about 4 years. And I would like to create jobs in Manatee County, good paying, good wage paying jobs. And we've created the Northwest Plan. We're still working on the Northwest Plan, and I'd like to keep working on the Northwest Plan. Also, infrastructure always is important. Was able to get a light in at Rutland Road and 301. Was able to get a left-hand turn lane at Leffingwell for the folks in Ellington. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's pretty bad there. And I've got a lot of things happening. We've got, we're going to start 4-laning Moccasin Wallow on phase 1. Hopefully we'll be able to continue on phase 2 and phase 3. It's a lot going on in my district, but the more jobs we can create, the better it makes the whole county. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt, you chose to answer this question. Your answer was traffic, especially as it relates on and off the island. The island can only fit so many cars, and as we continue to grow, we can't keep trying to fit a round peg in a square hole. Can you expand on that, please?
Yeah, just choosing one of my top priorities, I did want to choose to talk about traffic. And the issue with traffic is, number one, we are growing immensely. Number two, I believe in many ways we are growing irresponsibly. And that irresponsible growth is adding to our traffic problems, that is adding to the bill that taxpayers are going to have to pay for the traffic fixes. Second, going back 4 years where we approved the half-cent sales tax, when was the last time anybody heard on how that plan was coming along, what's been proved, what has been changed, and so forth? When it comes to the island, I've been saying since the last election, we need to have a plan that is going to get people off the island. And the only way to do that is to have some sort of plan put together, and I believe is going to be at a separate lane to and from the island for a bus type scenario that is inviting, much like the buses and transportation is inviting on the island to get on the bus. But if it's not inviting and quicker to the island, people aren't going to get off the bus, or excuse me, get out of their cars. So there's a lot of smart people to help us put that together. We're getting ready to look at how we're going to replace and improve the bridges to the island, and I think that then needs to be part of that. And that's how we're going to help the island remove traffic off the island while still having the people to be able to enjoy why they moved here, why they live here, why they visit here.
Thank you. Mr. Satcher, you chose to answer this, James, excuse me. The Centennial Park and Parish Main Street. Can you expand, please?
Sure. We, in Parish, they've got a Main Street project that's just getting started, but they definitely need more partnerships, public-private partnerships, to make it successful. But there is a college coming, and of course, I've already built the high school, and so setting that up, and with the park, I think that'll be good to make a community center around Parish, so people don't have to come all the way in to Bradenton for that type of feel. And so I think that's important. Of course, after I handed in my answer, I thought about also, I do believe we need to fully fund the sheriff. I don't like that the staff, respect the staff, love the staff, looking forward to working together with them as the commissioner from District 1. But the staff comes with a budget, and it pretty much gets approved what exactly they ask for. The sheriff comes with his budget, and it pretty much gets slashed off the top. He asked for 22 deputies, he gets 12. So I do think that with what we have going on, and with the growth, with the people that we have, we need to make funding the sheriff, taking good care of him and his people and the deputies, and back in the blue, defending the police, not defunding the police, needs to be a priority as well.
Thank you. 3 of our candidates chose to answer question number 4. The question is as follows. Since the start of the pandemic, what have you done in regards to either personal or professional development to better prepare you for the job as county commissioner? We'll start with Dominique. Dominique, your answer was self-education. You went out into the community. Can you expand on that, please?
Yes, thank you. Since deciding to make my run for county commissioner, I have done a lot of self-education. By that, I mean I've read the statutes on what the duties are for a county commissioner, what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, and essentially how they operate. On top of that, I've also went back and I've watched the county commissioners' meetings and the budget meetings and the land use meetings so that I can get myself caught up on what the issues are and what the board is talking about when they're having these meetings. I've also went onto the county websites and I've reviewed the MPO's website. I've read up on the parish plan. I've read up on the agendas and the minutes to see what is actually going on here in Manatee County. In addition to that, I've also went out into the community in District 1. I've personally knocked on doors, talked to people, sat down at folks' house during the weekend for cookouts and barbecues to find out what their needs are. What are the conversations that they're having at their kitchen table that you wouldn't necessarily hear at a county commissioner's meeting. So all in all, up to this point, that is what I have done to educate myself and prepare to take over as the county commissioner for District 1.
Thank you. Matt, you chose to answer this question. Your answer was, first, my military career has prepared me to lead from the front by setting an example. It's never a do as I say, not as I do moment. Second, having sat on the Planning Commission on numerous topics, I have learned how to communicate effectively with the public and help bring people together, especially when we disagree. Can you expand on that, please?
Yeah, thank you. And I apologize because I stepped out of bounds a little bit in terms of the question, in terms of since the pandemic. Honestly, I think that is too specific because guess what? We're going to be faced with various pandemics as we go down the road. So it's not just about what we've learned since COVID entered our world. It's about what we have done in the past and how we have prepared ourselves individually so that when COVID or anything such as that at any level happens in the future, we have the ability to make tough decisions, to make command decisions. And like I said, lead from the front. You have to set the example. If you're not setting an example for others to follow, how do you expect them to do as you say if you're not willing to do as you do? So at the end of the day, I believe everything I've done in the past has already prepared for me for these types of situations. All the controversial land development projects that have come along the Planning Commission while I was on that commission has prepared me to be okay with asking a stupid question if I don't know it. Because guess what? None of the people in the audience knew about it either. Well, we got to a conclusion. So making the tough decisions for everybody's good, despite whatever the issue is, I think is key. And how you're prepared now or how you prepared for it later and before, it all is encompassing in terms of what are you going to do in the future.
Thank you, Matt. James, your answer was, how you have prepared is you've opposed curfew, you've opposed beach closure, you've supported Governor DeSantis. Can you expand on that, please?
Sure. First of all, no one has ever experienced anything like this curfew or like this pandemic. But I do think that I bring to the table some things that are unique and going to be helpful with studying more in law, enrolled at Stetson University at the law school there, business. But those are just kind of new things, which is what you asked for, relatively, last few years. But I also went to one county commissioner meeting. And so got off work, go to the meeting, and they're talking the entire meeting about the curfew, whether or not they're going to let the citizens of Manatee County go out at 11 o'clock. And that's the entire meeting. But buried in that meeting on April 17th, 1 hour and 32 minutes into the meeting, two different commissioners and a staff person said that they were taking everyone that was diagnosed and had needed 24-hour care from COVID, and they were keeping those people in the nursing homes. And then at the same time, they're wondering why our rates were higher than the states at the time. I saw it, I heard it. That was the important thing that was going on that day, was we needed to change that policy. It did change after that. I don't know if if they listened to me or if someone was embarrassed or what, but the policies changed. And so I think it's important that we bring leadership to the table. Sure, we need to get along with everyone, but we need to be able to push. District 1 needs somebody that's going to push for what we need, that's going to push for the infrastructure that we need, that's going to push for the laws that we need, and that's going to stand up and not go along with the crowd on every single thing. So I think that's important as we go forward.
Thank you. We'll move on to question 5. At the end of the day, the Board of County Commissioners are a team. What talents do you possess that will enhance the overall team's effectiveness? We'll start with Priscilla. Her answer was, I keep the business on an even keel. I keep things calming. I make people laugh and diffuse situations when appropriate. Can you expand, please, Priscilla?
Yes. Being on the dais sometime is a very stressful business. Until you've actually experienced it, you don't really know. Looks easy, sounds simple, but it's very stressful. I usually can bring things back to where we're supposed to be because we're supposed to be doing business. We're supposed to be deciding something. And as my opponent just said, we sometimes talk for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Eventually, you need to make a motion and vote. I usually will say, hey, come on guys, it's time to make a vote. Sometimes you do have to break the tension, but working together is the most important thing that a commissioner can do. Yes, you sometimes have to push. Yes, but you have to be able to cooperate with the staff, with your other commissioners, and your citizens. You have to know what they want. And that's, I think, my greatest asset is I listen to everybody. I figure out what will actually get voted on and when. There's no reason to bring something up that if you do not have 3 friends on the dais on that day. So being able to communicate, being able to motivate, and being able to basically stay even and calm when basically these have been very, very hard times is very important. And my background in ag prepares us for that because often you go to bed at night and you have no idea if everything you've worked for all your life will still be alive after the temperature drops down to 22 degrees. If I can get up and go to work after that and just say, hey, let's move on, well, trust me, I can handle it on the dais very easily. Thank you.
Thank you. Dominique, your answer was leadership and diversity. Will you expand on that, please?
Yes, thank you. Our current board does not accurately reflect the population of Manatee County. I think that by being elected as County Commissioner for District 1, I would bring diversity and leadership to the board. I'm open-minded, I'm an advocate. If you speak to any of my clients, they will tell you that I will go to bat for them every single time, whether if it's in the courtroom, if it's in a mediation, or arbitration. I would do the same thing for the constituents in our district and for Manatee County. I can work with anyone, and I have worked in some of the most hostile environments before. When I was in the military, like I said, I deployed to Afghanistan. We had rocket attacks, we were shot at. We got off the plane and were attacked immediately once we landed in country. So I think by being able to survive in those type of environments, still being able to go to work and accomplish the mission, keeping the team in mind and not self in mind, that I would bring that to the Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you, Dominique. Kevin, you chose to answer this question. Your answer was as following, your response. Coaching football at MHS, putting together real estate deals, serving on the City of Bradenton's Planning Commission, and running a business are all leadership roles that have prepared me to sit on the Board of County Commissioners and work with the other commissioners to move Manatee forward. Would you expand on that, please?
Sure. I may have written too much. There's not a whole lot to expand on there, is there? So I did. I played team sports when I was a kid. I coached football at Manatee High School. I currently serve on the Planning Commission for the City of Bradenton, which is a quasi-legislative body. And I own a company, I own a business. And in all these areas, they are leadership roles. And you have to bring people together, including in real estate, when sometimes, you know, deals tend to get tense and buyers and sellers disagree. So you have to bring people together. My mom always says that you're going to catch more flies with honey than you are with vinegar. And I would agree with that comment. I've started to build a relationship with some of the commissioners already, and I've been attending virtually all the meetings, or I at least watch them online, and sort of get a vibe as to how all of their personalities work and what their interests are and what the concerns for each of their districts are. And I think having that knowledge and a background in leadership positions and connections that I have within the community. Again, I'm born and raised here, and I think all of those things will help me to move the county forward as a member of the County Commission.
Thank you, Kevin. We'll move into question 6. The job of a county commissioner is vast and to some very vague. What do you feel are the top 3 roles of a county commissioner specific to the job description? Priscilla, you chose to answer this. Your answer was listen to staff and to make good decisions. Read materials. Knowledge of citizens. Then vast, we provide policy on water, land use, sewer, transportation, community needs, and more. Would you expand, please?
Yes, it's a huge job. You do not realize how much the county does until you're actually there. As I kind of wrote in my answer, which was probably my largest one that I wrote on, the county does a lot of things. We help Meals on Wheels. We help community things. We do the transportation. We do infrastructure. It is very, very vast. And the only way you can do this is, A, you have to depend on your staff. You have to constantly read. You have to constantly educate yourself. Because to be honest with you, there's a lot of things, there's not a person sitting on here that is 100% efficient on everything that you would end up voting on. So you have to depend on people. And you have to be able to read quickly. You have to be able to process what you read. And it's a very, very complicated job. I believe that one of the reasons it's so vague is because we sometimes have 104 items on the agenda. And if you're only interested in one, by the time it gets to yours, you're kind of like worn out by the time it gets there. So it's very good that if you can communicate with your commissioners, which I'm more than happy to communicate with people. Like I said, tons of people have my cell phone. They'll call me and they'll ask me about an issue. If I can legally give them an answer, I will, because of the sunshine rule. And that's the biggest thing a commissioner does. It's vast. You have to educate yourself, and you have to be willing to be transparent and talk to the people that really have a concern about what you do.
Thank you. Kevin, you chose to answer this. Your top 3 roles you listed were health, safety, welfare. The Board of County Commissioners, first and foremost, must fully fund and support Manatee Sheriff's Office and the EMS. We must also ensure safe infrastructure and a stable and positive living economic environment. When you expound on that, please?
Absolutely. So public safety is number 1 when it comes to local government. Health, safety, and welfare are the pillars of local government. So you can count on me as your county commissioner to always support the Manatee County Sheriff's Office and EMS. I will never, under any circumstances, vote to defund the police. I think we should always have their backs. In addition to that, we need, with safety, we need safe roads, which means we need to start alleviating traffic congestion. We have intersections in this county that are not safe. Not all in my district. You can go out east to Verna and Verna Bethany, and there's an unsafe intersection there. So there are unsafe intersections all over the county that need to be addressed right away. And then along with safety comes in my district. See, we have the majority of the shoreline in District 3, and we have all of the beaches in Manatee County lie within District 3. So the quality of our water is tied to the quality of your life in District 3, and at times your health. Don't forget when red tide set in 2018, in District 3 at times you could hardly breathe. As of right now, we have 26 million gallons of raw poo floating around in the bay in District 3 along our shorelines. So infrastructure, underground infrastructure, sewer lines, and stormwater runoff are also part of public safety.
Thank you. For our last question, only one of our candidates chose to answer. The question was, talk about what the concept of healthy families means to you. How do healthy families influence the health of our community? James, you chose to answer this question, and your answer was, maintain natural beauty for families to enjoy. Support law enforcement to keep us safe. End sex trafficking in Manatee County. Will you expand, please?
Absolutely. Some of those things I might have hit on, but obviously the reason why thousands and thousands of people are trying to move to Florida and to this area every year is because it's a beautiful place to live. I may not be like some of the people up here. I wasn't born here, but I made a good decision. I chose to move here, and it's beautiful, and I enjoy it with my family. And so we do need to take care of the water. We have to be conservation-minded, take care of what we've been given. That doesn't mean that we make the environment our God or that we spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to save a spotted cockroach, but it does mean that we watch what's going into our waterways and what we're doing with our stormwater. So I think that's important. We do need to support law enforcement, defend our police, because they take care of us and they put their life on the line every day and every night for each of us. Ending sex trafficking in Manatee County, that's actually low-hanging fruit. Believe it or not, there are dozens of massage parlors that are operating illicitly, and to say that, oh, this is a problem that we can't fix, well, I tell you, there are certain classifications that have been completely eradicated in Sarasota County, but are here present in Manatee County. And so I think it'd be easy to do if we made it a priority with a couple of ordinances that would make a difference. I am looking forward to helping families by working together with those around it. You know, the president has a faith advisory board, and so my wife and I were very honored to get appointed to that just recently, and so we're excited about being a part of that. We actually have been in conversations with the people that lead that and helping them with with criminal justice reform. They asked us to get on board early with that. They also asked us what our take on what was going on with sex trafficking, because we're on the ground with that issue. So we were able to work together with them. I remember going in just a few weeks after the earthquake in Haiti, and so people are.
Oh. No, I think that she muted you because it was over the 2 minutes. You will in just a moment, James, because we're going to be able to give every candidate 2 minutes to follow up. All right, so we appreciate that. My apologies, we were doing so well with everybody keeping to the 2 minutes. So those were the questions. We want to thank you before we follow up, not only for tuning in today. We want a special thank you to Bradenton and Kiwanis, who is bringing this series of forums together. We hope that you will tune in next Tuesday on the same Vimeo channel and link to hear from our candidates running for District 5 and District 7. So that you, out there listening and viewing today or seeing this on recording, from the perspective of the Performing Arts Center, I want to make sure that each one of our candidates knew, and that you know, their safety was at the top of our priority. As each one of our guests arrived today, their temperature was taken. They were provided hand sanitizer. They have stayed socially distanced the entire time that they've been in here. They were each given pens that had never been used before, and all of the papers were touched with gloves. So we want to make sure that you, as those listening, know that safety of all of our candidates was first and foremost. We thank you. They wore masks 100% of the time until they sat, and then we've allowed them to remove them just for the forum. So we want to thank you. I want to thank Bradenton and Kiwanis again for doing this. We're going to give each one of our candidates 2 minutes to cover something that maybe we didn't ask them. We want them again to be specific about things they can actually influence and change in our community. Something that they want you, our fellow elevator rider today, to know about them that may encourage you to vote for them. We're going to start in the opposite direction as when we started, so we'll start with Kevin. Kevin, please.
Great, thank you, Janene. And thank you to the Bradenton Kiwanis Club. Thank you to the Manatee players for hosting this event. I really appreciate it. Always good to have an opportunity to get your views out. I don't have a huge list of priorities. I'm pretty focused when it comes to my message. So number one is the economy. Whether you agree or disagree with a government shutdown as a result of it, We have double-digit unemployment in Manatee County, 11% unemployment. And in my district, it's just as high as the rest of the county. And we're talking about real people, working people who have bills to pay, they have rent and mortgage to pay, they have kids to feed. And if that's not your top priority right now, I don't know what else possibly could be. What we need is a stable economic environment, a stable business environment. That's what businesses need in order to project and to grow. They need stability and consistency. So you need a principled leader, someone who is consistent and principled at the helm to ensure that that business environment exists and to ensure that our local businesses are going to grow and are going to hire people back. Our residents don't want stimulus checks, they want paychecks. Keep that in mind. The other issues that I spoke of, traffic, infrastructure, we obviously have to focus on those things as well. We do need roads, we need bridges, we need intersection improvements, all these things for safety and for quality of life and the quality of our water. We need improved stormwater runoff, and we need updated sewer lines in this town as well. For a long time, we have been focusing on things that we wanted instead of focusing on things that we need. And so these things aren't necessarily fun and exciting topics to talk about, but roads and intersections and sewer lines are things that we absolutely need. So it's time to buckle down and focus on the things that we want and not the things that we need and not the things that we want. So thank you very much. I hope everyone will stay healthy and stay well.
Thank you, Kevin. Matt, your turn.
Thank you very much for bringing this to a close. I've demonstrated that I know how to lead. I've demonstrated how I will lead. I demonstrated that I will be and will continue to be the people's voice in this community. I am not taking any donations from any developers. My campaign is funded by small donations like the one I received today from the gentleman who just learned that the Sierra Club, based off my history in this community, has endorsed me to carry the water to help protect our natural resources. So he sent me a nice $50 check, which was more than generous considering the situation that we find ourselves in today. I'm not seeking this role as a job. I already have a job. I believe I have the tools and the assets to bring us to a more prosperous community. I believe as having those tools and those assets, I have a responsibility to this community. This community will get 2 terms out of me. I'm willing to give up 8 years of my life of sacrifice, which is time away from family and other things, to do this job to help us move into a better community. Just like my business as a financial advisor, I'm in the business of helping people. I know how to help Manatee County, and by November, my hope and desire is that will earn your trust and your vote in November. You can learn more about me at voteformattbauer.com. You can contact me anytime. I'm an open book, so let the questions flow. Thank you very much for everybody's time, and thank you, Kiwanis.
Thank you, Matt. Priscilla, your 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. I'm very proud to serve District 1 in Manatee County as a commissioner. And my hope is that y'all will continue letting me do the job that we have started together. I am a conservative business person. I have always run my own business. Fact is, if you look at a resume of mine, I look like I'm a homeless person because I really always work for myself, which means when I look at a budget, I always give people what they need, not what they want. Because sometimes, you know, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be very, very careful with your money, and I am. I just ask you, we have a lot going on in District 1. The festival park really is something we're working on, and I'm very close to getting it. We're having a new plan in Parish. We're working on soccer fields at Blackstone Park, soccer fields at Buffalo Creek Park. So there's a lot of things going on, and I'm very, very happy to have started those projects, and I hope I get to continue and see them through to the end. So thank you very much, and thank you to the Kiwanis.
Thank you, Priscilla. James, your 2 minutes, please.
Thank you so much for having us today, and I sure do appreciate each and every one of you. You know, there are some major issues that we face as a county and that we face as a people and as a nation. And so I do believe that I can be the person that you need in the county commission. You know, my background, I just started earlier, so I'll finish the story now. We were going to Haiti, and right after the earthquake, so literally hundreds of thousands of people dead. And I remember the heads of each organization being there, and I was honored to be a part of it. So the representative from Franklin Graham's organization is there. from Love a Child up in Tampa was there. These multi-million-dollar organizations there, and everyone's working together, talking to each other, seeing what they have to provide. You know, and our organization, as small as we were, you know, we were able to provide a 4,500 square foot tent that they were able to feed thousands of people out from under. Community organizations. I remember the doctors from Harvard came to us and said, I don't know what you're doing each evening. We were doing a Bible study. Said, I don't know what you're doing each evening, but it's making a difference with the patients. They're getting better quicker. And same thing goes to when working as a businessman and able to go to some of the largest construction agencies in this area and say, look, I work for a subcontractor. I want you to look at our business. Are you willing to sit down with us? And of course, most of them were. Because I have a history of putting people together and leading in the right direction to do the right things. And I think that's what we need here in this county. We do need to, and I'll say it again, we do need to defend our police. We need to fund that department. And then we need to, when we have staff come and say, well, this is what we're looking for, we need to go over that with a fine-tooth comb. But when the sheriff asks for something, that needs to be our default setting, is to give him what he needs to keep us safe.
Thanks, James. Dominique, your 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. I just want to say that I hope you all have listened to everything that everyone has said before you today. And I'll reiterate that representation matters. I'll say again that we have a very diverse population here in Manatee County. District 1 is growing every day. There are new people purchasing homes and moving out to that area. So what it looked like before, back in the day, doesn't necessarily look the same way today. So I'm asking for your support. I'm asking for you all to go and visit my website. There is a poll where you can answer questions about what your concerns are in District 1. Our election is not until November, but I hope by then I will have a better picture of what your specific issues are and not just the broad and general issues such as traffic or infrastructure. I would like to go into this position specifically knowing these are what my neighbors are saying that they need in District 1 and how it is that I can make a feasible plan to make sure that your voices are heard, your needs are met, and your wants are also considered. So with that being said, I'd ask you all to support my campaign. Find me on Facebook, vote Dominique Brown for Commissioner, District 1. There's a link to my website on that page as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you again, candidates. Thank you not only for participating today, but thank you for willingness to participate in the process in which it takes to get elected. You know, I personally want to thank you for the sacrifice that you personally have taken on, as well as your family, to actually run a candidacy and a campaign during the pandemic. We know it can't be easy. Right now, we know that knocking on doors isn't, you know, for some, the perfect way to introduce yourself. I hope that today's forum has given not only you the opportunity to share some of your thoughts, your principles in life, your life story, but has also given our viewers today an opportunity to get to know you and where you stand and how that aligns what they hope for our community. Again, thank you, Bradenton and Kiwanis. Thank you, Shin Productions. And yes, a special thank you to Kristen Ribble, production manager of the Manatee Performing Arts Center, who ran sound today to make sure that everything went without a hitch. With that, again, tune in next Tuesday, and goodbye. Thank you, Stuart. Okay, if you'll put your masks back on and give me just a minute, I'll open the curtain so you can leave.